Okay, so I'm going to talk about number six. This is also another anime I'm excited about. So you first start with an opening sequence of a guy running from people. You're like, oh, great, what's happening? And um, and then it switches quite quickly it switches quite quickly to a high school scene. Uh, all anime most of these days is based on high school, so you're like, okay, good. How is this high school going to be different from all the million other high school scenes out there? So you have a girl who is a teacher who is somehow like leading class for the day, and then there is this really a fight breaks out between the students who do not like the fact that this girl, who is pretty much their age mate, is teaching them. I guess it's supposed to be like an elite school, and this girl is not quite elite. So I guess the boys in the class, the pupils, are like, they like look down on her, like some on her. And I think it's poor. I think she's poor or something, and then she hard fights to breaks out of the pulpit and like starts to fight against the boy who is like teasing her. That was really exciting. It's sort of like you can really feel the emotions there, and then overlooking that, there's another guy which is supposed to be, I guess, the male protagonist. His name is Shion, and he overlooks it sort of in the. It's not clear whether he's detached or he feels like he doesn't know what to do in the situation. And the adults come on the scene and break it up, and then it turns out that this girl, Sappho, who was the one who was the one trying to fight, and she know each other, and they both go home to Sappho's house to celebrate his birthday, Shion's birthday. Sappho is really interesting. At first it might look like the typical tsundere character, but she's just she's feisty, and she has her own world in there. And then you have Shion, who is sort of like who has this. I guess he feels a little bit detached from his world. So you're kind of interested in Shion. He's not angsty and stuff, but you can see the sense that he feels apart from the world he's in. While the girl Sappho is really into it. It's really into it. But the world we'll not get into the world first. We'll just go. So they go to Sappho's house, and she lives with her grandmother, and they do to celebrate to celebrate Shion's birthday. So there's this whole birthday scene, and then we'll learn more about the world they live in. Apparently, it's called Number Six Chronos. It's not a heavily changed future world, but it has its own changes. There's a lot of technology. It's the technology is sort of like omnipresent. It's not in your face. It's sort of like a technology with a wired laptop, so everyone has their own tablets and stuff. But the thing is that you see already in the birthday scene that this world that they live in isn't quite right, because the grandmother, it talks about how she's bored in this world, that because in this number six they give you everything. They give you food, they give you shelter, they give you everything, and her day is boring, and she doesn't know what to do. Her day would be her next day, and she's already like out there like crazy, like crazy grandma talk. But from my crazy grandma talk, you can also feel like this world that I live, that this number six Chronos is not ideal. And then there's another thing that, like in her birthday scene, where Shion starts with her and cake, everyone is clapping. So you have Sappho and the grandmother clapping, but it's so strange that when the grandmother is clapping, she looks like zoinked out. She looks like she's dazed. I don't know, like she's on pot or something. She's sticking marijuana or something, and she's like. No smiling at all. You're like, oh. So at first I thought, I thought maybe that was, was it intentional or was that a mistake? But I don't know if you can catch it, but it's there. So at the end of the birthday present, at the end when Shion goes home, Sappho gives him a peck on the cheek. It's the reason I know this peck is because she says that That's, don't you like it? It's a sign of, it's a manifestation of his her reproductive desire. You're like, what? I think this is supposed to be like twins. You're like, what girl talks like that? So you're like, you're already getting the sense that this world is fucked up, wherever world they're living. But anyway, Sion goes and gets a really crappy looking sweater as a present, but it's love, so it's a lovely, pleasant present. Sion goes home, and then there's some angsty scene where he like screams out because he feels, detached, and he feels like doesn't fit in where he is. And then a fugitive, is in his house. He has the guy, the guy earlier who's running away. His hand is bleeding, and then and then of course, and then this is where he actually sees Shion has his own personality. He's sort of like he's sort of like cuddled, not cuddled, but he's sort of like elite. He doesn't have to work. He goes to school. He's very like book smart, but he's not very worldly smart. So you sort of see that so you see that Shion has a sort of a curiosity. So he has a curiosity on this fugitive because he hasn't run into real criminals before, and this fugitive is also like has his own slideness to this guy who's saying that, oh yeah, so the fugitive, and what's the name of the fugitive? He calls himself Mouse Nezumi. So so you already see some sort of like, you already see a rapport between them. The book smart, the upper class, Shion, and then you have this Nezumi who is like a rogue, like an outcast of the society. But of course, you already see that the reason why he's an outcast is because the society is fucked up, and he's caught up in that. Two things to note. Usually, when there is in anime, when there's a scene, when there is like a premise on one guy saving the other, or like some guy or someone who is out of luck and needs saving, generally genders are mismatched. So you would have, so it's either a girl who has to take in a runaway guy, or is a runaway guy, or is a guy who has taken a runaway girl, and there's some, and then so you have the genders are mismatched. They almost never the same gender. So it struck me at first that wow, these are two men and two boys. I'm calling boys, teenagers. These are two teenagers, two boys, and they immediately, and they're going to, one of them is helping out the other. So that was already like, that was already there. There's a bit of a Shonen Ai vibe in it. So, because you have this Shion guy who is sort of like, he's questioning himself, and he sort of ends in them holding hands. So there's a sense of there's the unrealism in which they go from strangers to holding hands, which is like, it doesn't quite work, but still it sort of fits Shion's character, because you get the sense that he's like I said, he's questioning himself and he's unsure of what his place is in the world. So you could see children, so in a sense you can see children doing that, but still there's a Shonen Ai vibe. So for you all, close-minded people who don't care for Shonen Ai or boys love sort of thing, then you might want to stay away from this show. But that was personally was refreshing, because whatever, it's untypical of anime. Like I said, usually when one has to be the caretaker of the other, then they're the same sex. They're usually man and woman. They're almost never the same sex. So in that vein, I would definitely watch the show, because the characters are not stereotypical at all. Each one is unique. I would give you that. It's just, and it turns out to be a mystery. So it's not going to be it's not going to be an emotional fest or some slice of life thing. It sets out going to be a mystery and some growth, and it's going to be action. There will definitely be some action, and there's a lot of tension. So I would say number 6 is a keeper to watch. Definitely watch it, and you tell me about it, and hopefully you're not grossed out by the undertone of the boys love aspect of it. But anyway,